Welcome back to the Horror Syndicate. It is Wednesday night, and you know what that means. It's another edition of the Horror Syndicate Discourse. And tonight, we're going to for real talk about Night of the Comet. We did a kind of like a BS and type show with Nate and myself about 2, 3 weeks ago. He talked about doing the Scream Factory Blu ray cover for Night of the Comet, which I absolutely love. And we just kind of messed around and stuff. But now we're going to talk about the movie because we kind of realized that it is kind of a Christmas movie. It's not like a Christmas themed movie. It just happens to take place around Christmas. And anybody who says otherwise doesn't know what they're talking about because there's a guy in a Santa suit at one point. And I think the kids get Christmas presents or something like that at some point. I don't remember. Anyhow, welcome. The same old stuff, same old story. Every time we go live, you gotta. If you don't subscribe to the Horror Syndicate on YouTube so we can get more people following the channel. We've got 3 shows going right now. Supernatural Syndicate on Tuesdays, Discourse on Wednesdays, and our Friday night Up All Night with me and Seth. So, and then of course, if you're not familiar with Facebook, come on, we're live on those nights, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays as of right now. So, welcome, and what's up, Luke? I'm gonna bring in the fellers. Seth, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Seth is on location, by the way, um, in Vermont or wherever it is you live. So there might be a slight delay. And of course, we've got Nathan Laynabout Thomas Milner. Nate, how you doing, man?
Yes.
I'm good.
You look comfy, man.
The whole
Like, I'm
world.
kind of jealous over here.
I think I'm just gonna keep doing this. This is nice.
Yeah, that'd be nice. We should all lay up on our beds, like
The whole world is
talk softly.
celebrating.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Discourse, all from our beds and shit.
Laid back. With my
Yeah,
mind on
man.
my money and my money on my mind.
So, yeah. So, you guys ready for Christmas? How much has it put you in the poorhouse?
I don't know if I'm gonna do Christmas. It's gonna be cold, and snowy here.
Oh
You gonna
man.
probably get it? Are you getting it too? Coming
Uh,
Thursday, Friday,
it,
or
it's I just my grandma was she's like, can you come over tomorrow? It's supposed to get bad with the weather, and I'm like, because she's got money for my kids, not gifts, money. But who doesn't
Mhm.
love money? But it's supposed to get down to -3 overnight between Thursday and Friday, so that's fun.
Yeah.
But the best part is,
Seth's like you bunch of sissies.
yeah, right. Middle of next week, it's going to be in the mid 50s. So that's the Midwest for you. But yeah, Seth, what's the temperature like up there, man?
Well,
Cold.
Cold.
Okay. All right. So I'm
You
not
got a
sure if
window?
you're joining tonight. What's that, Nate?
I'm sick of that joke. Robin Williams in Vietnam. What's the weather like? You got a window? Open it. Hot. It's damn hot.
Yeah, I'm glad. Honestly, I'm glad it's not hot. I hate
Yeah.
heat, to be honest. I don't mind the cold all that much as long as it's not butt ass cold, as I like to call it. Which it'll be butt ass
It'll
cold
be
on
butt ass
Friday.
cold
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah.
Friday.
So
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Christmas though. Kids are excited, and we're gonna watch Scrooge tomorrow night, so that'll be fun. That is an absolute classic, and of course, Christmas Day is never without 2 movies, in my opinion. We watch Gremlins on Christmas Day, and we watch It's a Wonderful Life with which my kids actually love. So that is what we're doing. What do you guys have any big plans? Ass. Cool.
Supposed to go to my sister's, but I think I'll stay right here.
You should.
And I'll watch It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah. Seth, what about you?
I'm gonna go trick or treating.
Absolutely. Oh, by the way, if anybody's out there watching, apparently copies of Halloween Ends is popping up at Walmart's, so you can get it a week early if you want. Before we start talking about Night of Comet, I do want to make sure if anybody who's planning on watching on Thursday or Friday, we are going to. Seth, are you ready for this? We're going to be breaking down or ranking the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. Right? You're doing that, right? Have you watched any of them
Yeah, I will be ready.
yet? Okay.
No, not yet.
That's why we do.
I mean,
It's-
I've seen the first three, so I just got to
Yeah.
catch up on 4, 5, and the remake.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with the remake. So anyway, all right. So Night of the Comet. I really tried to go with an '80s theme, like a early '90s Full House kind of with the font. Because I saw this picture and I like for some reason the Full House theme started popping in my head.
It's like
I'm like,
it's like Hill Street Blues or something.
oh. Yeah, yeah. All right. So Nate, did you? I know we're not 100% sure are back yet, but did you do any Amazon reviews today?
Oh shit! I forgot.
That's all right.
I forgot to do shit.
We'll be
Okay.
raring to go with those in season 4, which starts in January.
I don't care what they have to say. I love this movie.
I do too. And I think I told the story last time we were live about like when I was like 10 years old, this girl came over. We had like a plan to go hang out and walk around town and everything. And she came over and right as she got there, Night of the Comet was on, and I was like, no, I got to watch Night of the Comet. It's on, and I think I blew it. She could have been my future wife. Her name was
Yeah.
But yeah, Night of the Comet was, well, it was also one of those that didn't like pop up on TV very often, especially by 1990. And so anytime that it
I don't
popped up,
know.
I watched it.
I watched it awful lot, but maybe I had it copied off the TV. on a
Yes,
tape.
I didn't have that.
I think I had it on. I think we did have it on a videotape.
Wish I would have. I had to wait, and like I remember one year after watching again, I you know how you can get the TV guide and read ahead to see what was coming on during the week. I was looking at HBO up and down, trying to find out if it was going to be on. For like a whole year, I was doing that, and I never got to see it. And it took me until the Scream Factory came out to see it again since 1991, 92 maybe. But it's a good one. It's a underrated, underappreciated, underseen probably as well. I think. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it doesn't come up often. I don't really hear, a lot of Night of the Comet talk.
No, you really
but
don't.
it is a cult film. It does have a big cult following. It was, as I said, one of Scream Factory's earliest releases. It was this maybe the 8th or 9th cover I did for them.
Yeah, here it is. If anybody is interested in seeing it.
But
Very cool.
yeah, it's a great, overlooked zombie B movie.
Kind of end of the world movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the fun things about it is thanks Tita, fantastic hat. It's my friend Tita. Yeah, it's fun because you follow these two girls who there's nobody else around. All you see is red dust everywhere, or the occasional, infected, whatever you want to call them. And that's one of the fun things about it. It's the world is theirs, and I love that. Plus, I love the way the LA skyline looks with the red like hue, like you see in the cover or the thumbnail that I chose. I fucking adore the look of the movie because of that. It looks so cool.
Yeah, I know the cinematographer said he was kicking himself because he was using the graduated filters for that. Where you get kind of the red at the top and it fades down.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess maybe he had to create a few. He may have been making them for the shots.
Mm.
And I think he got tired of. I think it became a pain more. But it gives the movie its look, and it's very unique. I don't know of any other movies that do that. I mean, there's other movies that use the graduated sunset kind of. Tony Scott used it a lot in his film. Like you watch Days of Thunder or Top Gun, stuff like that. You could see it very prominently. His films all looked like that, but
not for a constant. Like this was constant,
no. And this has a point to it too. It's like it's part of the story.
Yeah,
that the sky has this comet in the atmosphere that's caused the sky to look like that. Yeah, to know that there's something off, and just the images of empty downtown Los
I love
Angeles.
it. Yeah.
Which they said they really didn't like shut down things. They said they could only hold traffic up for like 40 seconds.
Well, I thought, was this the one that they filmed it on a Sunday morning, like early Sunday mornings?
They said they did shoot it some days early.
Yeah.
There was one shot where it's the whole city.
Yeah.
And basically, I think the cinematographer had gotten up early that morning and he noticed that there was no traffic and no movement. So he grabbed the camera and the filters and got that shot.
Which is
He
gotta
said
be rare.
a lot of and they said a lot of the shots were that it wasn't that the streets were empty. It's just they happened to wait and get those shots when there wasn't anything there. So it was just patience. And that's the thing. This movie was made for $700,000.
Oh my God! Really? I didn't know that. Wow.
It doesn't even look. It looks so much bigger than that.
Yeah,
and
it totally
it's
does.
just a lot of tricks, like you talked about. The Christmas element and it being a Christmas movie. That was not intended originally. They chose to make it Christmas because they knew they were going to be filming it around that time of the year, and they wouldn't have the money or budget or time to remove Christmas decorations from any buildings or anything. So they said, let's just set it during Christmas so we don't have to worry about Christmas decorations on buildings in the background. That's why the movie's Christmas set.
But it kind of works for the setting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
With especially religious wise, it's like the end of the world, the day that Christ was born, all that stuff. It's Tom Everhart did a great job with this film. Is that the cinematographer?
That's the director.
Director? Okay. Yeah.
Writer, director.
You know how I am about that stuff. So,
Captain Ron, director.
What I'd like to really do here is I want to know, because I think, Seth, this was your first time watching Night of the Comet, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So, well, tell me what you thought. It's a movie that's almost 40 years old now, and you saw it for the first time. What kind of reactions did you get? What did you like? What did you not like?
So this is one that I've heard of before. I've heard of within the last 20 years. I was part of this horror forum, and I was always talking with these people. And Night of the Comet was mentioned quite a bit, and I just never got around to it. And then I finally got the Blu-ray, and for some reason I've had the Blu-ray for I think almost a year, and I didn't watch it until last night. But I liked it. I thought it was a fun movie. Like you were saying with the visual aspect, I thought it was actually kind of like beautiful to look at. It looked good on Blu-ray, especially.
Oh yeah.
It was just it's a fun 80s movie. And I'll definitely have to check it out again.
Yeah, for anybody who hasn't seen
Back
it,
to you.
who doesn't have a copy, back to you, who doesn't have a copy on Blu-ray, it is streaming on Shudder for anybody who hasn't seen it, and it's definitely worth your time. I don't think I think it just clocks in just over 90 minutes, so it's definitely worth watching. A lot of fun. You got Kelly. Is it Maroney? Is that how you say it?
The cheerleader, yeah, Kelly Maroney.
She's fantastic. I mean, the first time I ever saw her was in Chopping Mall.
Yeah.
But her role,
and she was a head cheerleader in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, that's right. She was with Amanda Wyss.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was
great cast all around. I had the biggest crush on Catherine Mary Stewart back then because she had done this and Last Starfighter the same year, and then she did Mischief a few years after that with Kelly Preston, and she was, of course, at Weekend at Bernie's. She was a love interest in that.
She was? Oh, that's her?
Yeah.
No
yeah.
shit. Oh, man.
So she was someone who was around a lot back then, and she just really stood out, and I love her character in this. I think all three leads, Robert Boucham as Hector, is great too.
Yeah, I like his little side quest. It's really good.
Yeah. But the two sisters, the Valley Girls, because that's really where it came from. It was kind of inspired by Valley Girls.
Yeah.
and it's kind of like it has a lot of in common with, of course, the Dawn of the Dead and
Mhm.
the types. You know, they have the shopping spree and they have all those things, and
I like even when they were fighting about boys, that one
yeah,
scene where they're fighting about boys and they just look at each other and laugh. It's such a nice scene, you know. You really get the sister feel. I love that. I love these two together.
yeah, they were great.
Yeah, actually, what so Helena, my daughter, I've talked about her quite a bit. She watched this with me when I watched a couple days ago, and I just watched it on a whim, not because of any reason, you know, because every now and again I like to watch it. And so she's sitting there watching it with me, and she was brought into the scene where Kelly Maroney pops her mother-in-law right in the face, you know, and then she gets popped right back. She's like, "What's going on in this movie?" I was like, "Just wait, it gets so much more fun." And so from there on, she's like, "This is one of my favorites. I love it. I can't wait to watch it again." So I was like, "Good, it's a good one."
That part is wild, man.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
apparently Kelly told her to really hit her because it didn't have
Well, I mean,
like
she flies over the couch or whatever, you know, like
yeah.
it looked real.
So she said, "Yeah, hit me because we don't have many takes, you know, because it was low budget and we wanted to sell. It wasn't feeling real. She just hit me."
Yeah,
Uh,
it looked really good, and that's an early standout scene. Of course, you get the other sister. I can't ever remember their names in the movie.
it's
Reggie.
Regina, and Samantha, I believe.
Yeah, so I like that starts out with her playing that stand-up arcade game,
Yeah,
and that's one of my favorite things also about the movie is there's one score, like the number six. It's not her name because she's trying to fill up the board. You know, we all
yeah,
used to do that if we played arcade games, try to fill up the board.
yeah.
But yeah, and then it comes back around in the very end of the movie. You know, which I
BMK. Who
really
the
love.
hell is it? This is really annoying.
Yeah,
I mean, she's such a great character because I love how she's tough. And one big thing about these two characters, because their dad's like some mercenary or something.
right.
He's like farting like drug cartels down in South America or something. So they're like when they're shooting like the Mac 10s at the car practicing, she's like, "Daddy would have got us Uzis." They're
I
not.
hate I hate the way these jam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they said that was a truth because I guess Tom wanted them to be Uzis, and
yeah.
I guess the prop department showed up with Mac 10s, and they kept jamming. So all that jamming was like not intended; it was just what was happening. He just said, "Just say, Daddy would have got us Uzis." It's like, well, the car doesn't seem to care
I feel
or
like
notice
I feel like that scene's got to be the most well-known scene in the movie too.
that one.
Right,
It's
I
just
mean,
a great
well,
little those happy accidents are what gives character.
yeah,
And the fact that like when she's faced with the zombie, she's not running and not scared because somebody Tom said that I think it was the producers were watching the film the movie and he said, why aren't they scared? Oh, like in the shootout in the mall or the
mhm,
department store, they don't act scared. He goes, why aren't they afraid? He goes, you don't get it. That's not who these girls are. Like that's not the girls he was creating. And what's really interesting, I didn't know about this. Joss Whedon said that this movie is what's highly influenced the creation of Buffy the
Buffy,
Vampire
yeah,
Slayer.
the
Uh,
tough cheerleader, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So that's
Yeah,
where
you could
Buffy
tell.
came from. Was this movie?
yeah.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know that until after my last viewing, and I was reading about it a little bit. Yeah, that surprised me. I was like, wow, and it makes sense because well, both girls, I mean, you know, are both tough girls,
Yeah.
and they're not girls, they're women.
It's like when she threatens the zombie when she first runs into the one in
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
alleyway. And she's like, "I'm telling you, I can hurt you. You don't want to mess with me." And then
yeah.
she does all this moves, which was really her because apparently her background was in dancing. She'd been a dancer most of her life. Catherine had. But even like I like the whole movie theater, all the movie posters they got, like Death Race
Mhm.
2000, and
Yeah,
uh, there's a Beastmaster poster aren't in
a lot
there,
of
and
Easter eggs in that theater.
Red Dust, a little Easter egg, and then the guy playing the projectionist that she sleeps with, Michael Bowen, who my wife was like, "Who is that guy? He looks familiar." I was like, "It's Buck from Ready to Fuck," and Kill
Hmm.
Bill, and he was in Jackie Brown. He was Keaton's partner, and he was in a bunch of '80s stuff and '90s stuff. He was in 11 to 45, and um, God, that seems like he was in like one of the Revenge of the Nerds, like the sequel to the Revenge of the Nerds. Or now I'm thinking about is it Bradley Whitford? Was he the one that was the?
Yeah, he was in part
He's
two.
in part two. Yeah, I
Yeah,
always kind of got Bradley Whitford and him mixed up back in the '80s.
yeah.
Um, because Michael Bowen did a few things back then.
I mean, Michael Bowen did a lot of stuff even later on in his career. I mean,
Yeah, he
yeah,
was in he was in that really good Jack Ketchum movie, The Lost. Where he played the cop in that. I like
well,
that
you
movie.
you remember I was talking about a movie a couple weeks ago called Private Resort with
Oh yeah,
yeah,
was it?
he's in that. Oh, yeah, the Johnny Depp, yeah, which is after this because it was I believe
Yeah,
'85. But yeah, he's in a quite. I mean, he's one of those kind of like character actors that you see quite a bit, and you're
he's
like,
kind of like
I don't
a
know his
Jeremy
name.
Piven or something like that. You know,
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, maybe.
where he's usually a jock or some a guy like this character.
Yeah, he had a small role in a movie. I don't know if you guys ever seen a movie called All Cheerleaders Die. It's kind of a fun early 2000s horror film where they get like possessed by a demon or something like that. It's wild. But he was in that also. I think that's the latest thing I've seen him in. But yeah, one of those good people that you'll know his face.
Yeah, you got a lot of like. Of course, you got one of the ultimate character actors, Jeffrey Lewis, playing the main villain of
Mhm.
the scientist, who
Dr. Carter.
Juliet Lewis's dad, um, who was in like every Clint Eastwood movie ever made
Yeah.
back in the '70s and '80s.
Hmm.
And of course, Devil's Rejects. A lot of people now would know him from that, probably Banjo and Sullivan.
He was
Um,
yeah. That was when he died. He died not long after that, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, he died a couple of years ago.
Was it a
Um,
couple years ago?
yeah, I think it was just maybe within the last 5, 6 years.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, Mary
I
Warnoff,
liked him in
who,
Way of the Gun.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Way of the Guns, underrated movie.
I used to get Jeffrey mixed up with Jack Nance from Eraserhead. They have a very similar look.
Jack Nance. I have to look that one up.
Um,
The name sounds familiar though.
he's the
Let
main.
me look him up.
Okay, he's the
That
main
name
guy
does
in
sound
Eraserhead.
familiar. Well, even so,
Um,
that like he's got to be so from something other than Eraserhead.
yeah, he did a whole lot. Yeah, Wild at Heart and stuff like that. A lot of Dave. He did. He did
Oh,
several.
I like him. He was in
Yeah,
Ghoulie. Yeah, yeah. I remember him from Meatballs 4.
he
I
was
like
also in
all of
Love
them.
in a 45. Him and Michael Bowen. Um,
You,
and Mary Warnoff, who was one of Andy Warhol's girls back in the '60s,
he's
part of
in the
his
Blob.
superstars,
Yeah, she's in
and
a lot.
Roger Corman movies. Death Race
Yeah,
2000. She's in that.
yeah. I
Rock and Roll
mean,
High School.
again, the first thing I ever saw her in was uh fucking she had a small bit part at the beginning of Chopping Mall, and
Yeah.
then years later she was in one of my favorites of the 2000s, House of the Devil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was in that. She was one of those recognizable faces from the
Yeah.
80s, you know.
And she had a. I really like her scene. I like her character in this movie, and I
Hmm.
like because she always,
Terrorvision. Sorry.
she always did those Corman movies, and it was always
Hmm.
kind of campy. Eden Ryle, she had done with Robert Beltram. He's the one that suggested her for this movie, and she plays this character very straight. She's not campy at all. Like um, Jeffrey plays his character very campy, but Mary plays it pretty straight. In that scene where she's basically committing suicide, where she's shooting herself up,
Yeah.
and she has that great last line like, "Hey, she was right. You are cute, or you're pretty cute, or what?" And then just kind
Yeah.
of goes to sleep. Um, yeah, I like that part. I really like that scene, and apparently
Well, you didn't.
she wrote that scene. They said
She.
she was kind of one of those people who, when she comes on the movie set, she runs the movie set. So
I can
she
see
kind of
that. She's got a very commanding presence about her.
yeah.
But yeah, like I didn't like watching the movie. Of course, I've seen the movie so many times, but like watching it again as an adult when I got the Blu-ray in 20 whatever 14 or whatever it was. I'm watching her character and I know what's going to happen. I know that she sacrifices herself and doesn't kill because that was meant for Kelly, right?
Yeah, and apparently originally Kelly was supposed to die in that scene.
I'm glad she
That was
didn't.
supposed to be, and people rallied against him to let her live because they liked her so much. And
Yeah, which is good because she's a great character. One
yeah,
of those underrated '80s characters. Both of them are. But you know, like I watching her in that role, she didn't seem like she'd be the type of person who would, I guess, be a turncoat. You know, like, and she did, and she had a really nice death scene in the movie, in my opinion.
well, he has that really nice scene where he reveals what's going on. I mean, when they bring the kids off the helicopter and they show her and Jeffrey fighting, but you can't hear them because of the helicopter, so the audience doesn't know what's being discussed. But
Yeah,
then when she's writing down notes and it says loss of memory and she's misspelling it, she
yeah,
can't
yeah,
remember how to spell it,
yeah.
things like that. So he handles it fairly well. And oh yeah, the little boy that they have is the actual son of the stepmom in the beginning of the movie,
Oh,
Doris
really?
or whatever. Yeah, I like that scene too, where she comes out there. It's like where is everybody? He's like, well, where do you think? She said, this is Doris, and this is. She pulls up the shoe. She goes, where are the kids? It's Saturday morning. Where are the goddamn kids? I mean, it's just this is a better movie. Like it should be. It's better than it probably should have been. Um,
I mean, especially on a budget like that, you know.
yeah, and you tap. I mean, the only time the movie feels cheap, really cheap, is kind of that third act where they break into this, because I mean the place is all camera tricks. There's nothing real. I mean, it's a lot of forced perspective to make it look like it's this big underground thing, but it's really nothing. And there's everything's a lot very dark and hard to see, and a lot of tight shots and things. So that's the only time where it looks like, oh, they just didn't have the budget to pull this final finale off. But everything else I mean, they got to shoot in a real department store. He said, I don't know how we got to do that because this was like a real
Shoot it out there.
store. And the the radio station set's a pretty cool set, and that was like built for the movie. I think it was like a
That
warehouse or
scene, by
something.
the way, that's something I wanted to mention was how great that scene was to me, and it was like a dream as a kid to be able to take over the radio station, play whatever you want. I love that scene.
I like that you mentioned that. Um, I think that was something I felt when I watched this movie as a kid. I was probably 9 or 10.
Hmm.
I think I was 9 or 10 probably when I saw it. Came out when I was 8, but I probably saw it on cable. I didn't see it in the theater. Or VHS. This movie does have that kind of fantasy thing for kids where you like, oh, the whole city's ours. The stores are open. We can go to the mall. We can go be DJs. I love the ending line where they got the DMK guys like, she's like, hey, nice car. He goes, thanks. I have like 17 of them, right?
Yeah.
23.
Did he
and
press his own license plate though? I have to
yeah,
know.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
But the director said that he did, like, when he was trying to get feedback on this film before making it, he did interview like a bunch of 14 and 15-year-olds because that's who he was making the movie for.
Yeah, and it feels like one of those adventures you used to have as a kid.
Yeah, and he said the
That's
kids had no empathy. Like I told him, like
that's
everyone's
all.
gone, and they weren't scared, they were excited.
Yeah,
They were like, oh, I can go to the mall, I can get whatever I want, or I could do all
yeah.
these things, and it was like, and I remember having that same feeling when I watched Dawn of the Dead, which was years
Oh
after
yeah,
this.
yeah. I
But
can
like
see
having
that.
them all to yourself,
Hmm.
like, oh, that would be fun. Look at him sliding down the escalators and all these things.
Stabbing
Um,
zombies in the ear. Yeah.
so, yeah, it's like one of those like Home Alone. I'm just like early Home Alone because like
Yeah, I mean, think
I have
about it.
everything to
Well,
myself.
they're in this giant fucking big ass city, and
Yeah,
for all they know, it's just them and maybe a few stragglers here and there. That's
yeah.
one of the coolest things about it. Keep talking. I gotta pee. I'll be right back. Sorry, it's
Let's Seth talk.
boiling over.
Well, let's Seth. What do you want? Let me add Seth. Because I'll just keep running because I've seen this movie 1,000 times. I know you've seen it twice.
I've seen it only once. I
Oh,
probably
just
should have
one?
watched it twice.
Oh, I thought you said because you just watched it. You said you
Yeah.
bought the DVD, but so you just watched it this week for the first time.
Yeah, I had it. I've had it for like a year on Blu-ray, and I for some reason I've just never put it in. But I don't know. Like so, I'm trying to think. I had something. Oh, I can't remember now.
But would you have guessed that this was a $700,000 production?
No,
I mean, looking at it, yeah, like
no. I think it looks. It looked damn good.
yeah, and for someone who was kind of new, I mean, I think it's maybe his second film, but when he talks about it, talks like he was pretty green about film directing, and uh, Beltram talked about how he didn't know if the guy really didn't know how to deal with actors, or I don't know. I watched the interviews with Robert. He just seemed like he was very he wasn't happy about anything and made a lot of demands, and was very judgmental about the production and the director and the script. And of course, I got it. Like they said, they wanted him to play kind of a cholo type more, and he just played it. He wanted to play it like a regular everyman dude, which I'm glad. I'm glad he wasn't just playing some like street guy, with these valley girls. He was playing just I mean, he even dresses like a cowboy at the end. Where listen to the country music. Kelly Maroney's like, "Can we change this music? I don't like it."
Yeah.
That's part of the fun with her character is that
I did really like that.
Go ahead.
Sorry, that's this fucking delay. It's driving me nuts. I did like that moment where Jeffrey Lewis and the other guy, they go into the one room like after everyone starts to escape, and they have the people that worked with that that company like on the table with the laughing gas and the note going to see Santa. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I like that scene.
And I like how really did it with the memory loss thing, especially with those two female characters, like just kind of like forgetting like what the procedures are, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And again, it plays into that. There's a lot of parallels with this in 28 Days Later, where somebody wakes up and everyone's gone, and you're in a city by itself, and with no one around.
Yeah.
And then you're gone to. You think people are there to help you, and they're really just there to get your blood, or to get something out of you to save their own lives. Yeah, they just want to get the blood to save their own because they've been infected. I love all these geniuses, and they left the air vents open.
What was it that saved? Was it being in like a 10 building or something like that? Like,
yeah, I guess the radiation couldn't get through because he like Michael Bowen talks about what the room is made out of, or like there's no windows, it's sealed. I guess maybe it was older, and maybe it was to protect the film nitrate back in the day. I don't know. I can't remember I forget what the exposition was that he's talking about. But yeah, she was safe from whatever it was, and then Kelly Maroney says she went to sleep in like a shed or something.
Yeah. She fell asleep in the shed.
And I like the giveaway of like when she starts having her rash and she's scratching, the audience is like, oh shit. But then Regina has that throwaway line like, you and your rashes, So then we realized, like, oh, she does get, like, it's probably hives or something. Like,
Mhm.
but we're made to think that she's infected, and
Infected, yeah.
the doctors just assume because they see her scratching. And but it does make me wonder why Mary Warnoff doesn't kill her, just puts her to sleep to make her look dead, because, like, as far as she knows, this girl is going to turn, and why not take her out peacefully and kill her?
Well, I mean, she even
And I
knew
think that's
herself
what
though
the
she was turning though. Like,
yeah.
and maybe she thought being younger she had a chance or something. I don't. Who knows? Like, I don't know that there's much. I didn't watch. Is there a commentary on this Blu-ray?
There are three commentaries. There's one with the actresses,
Yeah.
there's one with the director, and one with the art director.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance. I was going to try to watch one of them today, but I didn't get the opportunity because it's Christmas time.
Which is
Christmas
really
time.
cool that they interviewed the art director. That's not some commentary you see very often.
Yeah. Did you watch any of them?
I watched the one with the director because
Mm-hmm.
I mean I liked that. There were three featurettes where Michael Felcher interviewed Catherine and Kelly and Robert individually, and then I said, well, I don't need to watch their commentary. I mean, the actors are going to say stuff that's pretty apparent. Um, but I listened to the director go, well, he's the one who wrote it, directed it, so I want to hear more. He's going to have more knowledge of what this is and what intentions were and
Mm-hmm.
changes. And then I thought, well, the art director too, because art director, you know, that's just a different perspective that you don't normally get. Uh, and So I listened a little bit of the art director, but I ran out of time. I had to do the show. Saw like the first half hour with him.
Damn show.
Damn show. Um, but oh yeah, one other thing I found out was the original title. At least that's what it said. Was something Kelly says on the radio. She says, and it's kind of strange. She calls them teenage mutant zombie something, comet zombies or something. And I thought, this is the same year that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out,
Mm.
the comic.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, did they
It,
see this movie?
oh,
Or
and yeah, maybe. I don't know what the.
because I remember they were just going to call them Ninja Turtles or something, and someone said we got to call them Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Well, Eastman or Laird, one of the two,
Yeah, I
threw
can't
that in.
remember which made the decision, but yeah, it's a good point because I don't know when this came. Well, I can tell you when this came out, but versus the release of that comic. But
When
I'm
did
trying
the
to.
comic come out? Do you know in '84 what time
That's
frame?
what I'm gonna look it up because I'm curious. Um, oh, first I wanted to see if I could find out what the actual title was supposed to be, but I don't see. All right, so the
I
movie
think if it
came
had
out.
that title, the movie would not have been. It would not
No,
pass.
Night
Like
of the
Night of the
Comet sounds.
sounds far more prestigious than
Yeah,
Teenage Mutant Comet
it
Zombies or
really
something.
it doesn't seem to sound like a movie that would be
It
considered
sounds
a
yeah, it sounds like Chopper Town, that kind of
yeah Chopper
shitty
Town.
redneck zombies. It sounds cheaper than Night of the Comet. At the same time, Night of the Comet sound it.
Man,
There were so many Night of the Creeps, Night of the Demons, Night of
really
the
good.
Comet, Night of the Living Dead. You know, um,
So Night of
Night of
Comet came
Olympus.
out in November of '84,
Huh.
a week
Okay.
after Elm Street actually was released. Um, so Ninja Turtles more than likely came out beforehand. I'm looking for a
So,
date.
so that's a lot of post production if they shot it the year earlier than that.
In
They said it was around
1980,
Christmas time.
Laird added two words: Teenage Mutant. It doesn't say anything about.
I'm sure the Eastman and Laird already had it. You
Yeah,
know.
it was '83 when they came up with that name, according to
Okay.
what I'm reading. So yeah, same time they were filming it. Uh, I guess okay. So 1984, March of '84 was when they founded Mirage Studios, and they must have released it a few weeks later. Yeah. So the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came first. Oh, good. We're getting spammed. 69mega.com. Tired of being alone? We'll help you. Kissy face. Yay. Oh, yeah. Check it out. They'll help.
AIs have infected.
Block user. All right. Well, maybe they can do some art for us.
Yeah. Although I've been seeing a lot of, I think there's two comic book companies that came out saying they won't accept AI art. They will never like they and there was a few other. There've been a few other companies come out saying that they will never accept it in contests or in their publications.
It's somebody mentioned something about. I know this is off the topic, but I wanted to say this to you guys. But somebody mentioned like, how do you think artists felt about the first photographs? I'm like, this is not the same thing as
No,
taking a picture. Come on.
it's not. Like it's not about the technology. It's because it's not. I mean, it's like saying, well, digital, like Photoshop. Photoshop's going to ruin everything. Well, Photoshop still took some kind of knowledge and effort. This isn't the same thing. This is just instant theft for starters. It's not coming from the computer. It's coming from what's been fed into the computer of other artists' work.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a completely different thing. It's
Yeah, because my cousin, she put up a bunch of pictures she did from AI art today, and one of them I'm looking at, I'm like, that looks like it's from Grand Theft Auto, and the covers of the Grand Theft Auto games. And I look it up, I'm like, that's my cousin, but from Grand Theft Auto. It's like they like she just plugged in an image of her face and came up with all these different designs, and they're kind of cool looking. Luckily, no fingers were in its pictures. But like and I'm looking at them. I've seen some of these somewhere before, and I was able to track down a couple of them. The Grand Theft Auto being the first one. It's like, yeah, that's not real art. That's just almost like a fucking filter.
yeah, it's like somebody posted that these people are already calling like real artists gatekeepers, gatekeeping,
Fine,
and like
be a
no,
gatekeeper. That's a good reason to be a gatekeeper.
yeah,
Honestly,
it's like gatekeeping is telling you that we don't, you're not allowed to be an artist. And I was like, no, I'm like, by all means, grab a pencil and start drawing. You could be an artist. I'm just saying you can't be me like that after I've done it for 46 years. You can't be
put in the time, the
my
blood, the
equal.
sweat, the tears.
Yeah, because
Like,
and you, yeah,
I sent you guys the thing that says all art matters, right?
yeah.
Yeah, no, and then the AI did send this to you. It's astounding how the number of well-known artists that take your money up front for a sketch commission, look you in the eye, and tell you that they have it done. It's like they go on about this rant about artists versus AI art, where you can get something instantly, but like I don't want nothing to do with AI art ever. And if you make a comic book out of that, go fuck yourself. I will never support it unless Seth does it.
I mean, I've had so many.
What are you drawing, Luke?
I've heard. I mean, I've heard a lot of people talk about the flakiness of artists, and unfortunately, there is a reputation of artists who don't get the work done and do take a long time, but and there's no excuse for it. I mean, there are, but there aren't. Um, but I'm not that way. And it frustrates me that other people are that way.
You're super fast too, though.
Well, yeah, I don't fuck around. If you,
No.
especially if someone's paid me, I'm like, I feel like I can't not. I have a very, my conscience would not allow me. So it's like I'm working with a big company right now. Have been, and someone slipped me a message that was sent to them saying Nathan is like the most responsive and professional artist, one of the most professional, responsive artists I've ever worked with in all these years. And I'm like, it made me feel good. But like, but that's just my work ethic. Like, I just do my job. That's what I'm paid for. But there are a lot of artists who do that. And the thing is, like, in defense of artists, I'm like, people don't understand, because there was a post about how, when you see some artist online on Facebook posting other artwork they did or what they're doing, and like, where's my work, And I'm like, well, the thing is, like,
I know that feeling.
you can't force art to happen. Like, if you force it, it's gonna suck. So
It's
there
just
is
like,
a
it's like for
process.
me writing a script. I can't force writing a script. I can't sit there and
Yeah,
like, I'm going to do this today.
you
Yeah, I get
have
it.
to you have to you have to step away from it for a bit and come back at it fresh, and it will improve the work. It'll just make it 10 times better. Just like film editing. If you're sitting there editing, and making the film, you're like, I got to step away, because when I come back, I'm going to see where, when you're staring at something for a long period of time, you start missing things, or you start making shortcuts because you just want to finish it, or you can get further, and that's not good. So you want your artists to kind of take their time, because they're going to do a better work. Now, if they're not, they're just, yeah, and the whole thing, like, looking at it and going, yeah, it's done. At the same time, shit gets in the way. Shit happens. And I also said the other thing people don't consider is you're not their only client. I might have 5 other jobs or 10 other jobs that I'm also working on, and I'm bouncing back and forth.
One thing you can't do as an artist, though, is ghost the person that hired
Oh,
you.
no, that shit's ridiculous, and I that pisses me off. People say, "Well, they go," and it goes both ways. When you're talking to a client and they're not responding, I tell every client, like, look, my phone's in my hand all day long. If it's not in my hand, it's there. When I'm working, it's not in my hand. But if I'm there, my phone's right there, and I take breaks, every 30 minutes, an hour, just to kind of take a breather, step away for a second. If I have a message, I answer it right then and there, because if I don't, I'm going to forget to,
or you're sleeping,
or whatever. So, yeah, or I'm sleeping. But I tell people, like, because it takes no time to respond. That's what drives me nuts. It takes less than 3 minutes to say or ask a question or whatever, like, or answer a question. And so it's frustrating, especially for the artist, where, like, I can't proceed until you answer this, because this question, I don't have to draw this 10 times because I guessed. So please respond to me, kind of thing. So it's even harder on artists when the artist is not getting responses, because, like, well, I can't progress until I know. And this is important. That's why I try to ask all the questions before you even start. Like, get everything cleared. I'll just send you I know we're talking about artwork, but Night of the Comet.
Well,
But yeah,
I came up. I'm sorry. That was me.
No, I mean, it's important stuff, because it's all over our internet. It's like AI, James Gunn, and Elon Musk, and Kanye West. It's like what's all out there right now. At least in my feed, it is.
I haven't looked at my feed. I've been concentrating on trying to get all these people to rank Marvel and DC movies.
But
having fun with it too.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me want. All this talk has made me want to talk about art more, and the process, and because it is a part of my life.
The body drawings you were doing, whatever that was called.
Yeah, my life drawing. I'd been wanting to do that for a long time, and with all this talk about artificial artists and artificial art, I was like, man, in college, that was what I did. Was I studied the masters, Michelangelo and Rubens and Da Vinci and all these people, and that's how I learned how to draw in many ways. Like, I mean, I drew from comics, but when I got to college, a lot of my style developed from drawing from life and drawing like those people and what I learned from them. And drawing is such an important part. And drawing, there's nothing better than drawing a human figure. There's just so much. It's just a rewarding experience. Because there's so much going on. Like, people are like, well, you just draw naked people. It's like, well, I don't want to draw clothes. Clothes suck to draw.
Well, that's
like, there's
not
nothing.
Drawing of the human body. It's drawing human body.
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
But when you get a human body, there's just
clothes suck.
Drawing clothing
when
is
when I like a woman, clothes do suck. I'll just say that.
Well, I'm just saying, drawing clothing is not the most exciting thing to draw.
Sure,
but when you get a human form, you've got muscle, you've got tissue, you got curves, you've got or even like drawing. That's why if you look, all my drawings are people of different ages, different sizes, different weights, different because you get wrinkles. It's interesting to draw. I mean, the more texture there is, the more exciting it is to draw. More shadow is more exciting to draw. And that's the thing. Like these people who want to be an artist and they want to shortcut. Like, no, if you can't pick up that fucking pencil, then you're not an artist. I'm sorry, it's just not. If like I keep saying, if the power goes out, you can't do it, then you're not doing anything. You know?
Your battery died. Oh.
Because I was fucking my buddy Brian, who I don't even know he's listening, or like he uses a tablet, and I've never bothered with the tablet, but I know a lot of people
Digital?
do. Yeah, and there's not. I mean, he still has to do it. He's still drawing, but like his tablet went out, and he was just like, "Oh, I can't draw my comic," I don't. And I just like sent him a picture of a piece of paper and a pen. So here you go.
You can.
And he laughed because he knew I was just fucking with him because I'd said something like the tablet, and he goes, "Well, it's what I use." I was like, "Look, I know I met you. When I met you, you were drawing on paper with pen. I know you could do it." So
my interior artist really he uses a tablet, and it's great though. I will be honest, because if he messes something up or we come up with a different angle or something like that, he can just go in and delete that that, what do they call it, layer, and then redraw it, or if there's a hand out of place, he can just erase that hand and redraw it. It's like man, that's so fucking cool.
That's where digital the advantage of digital for an artist is that it saves time. It saves you money because you have to buy equipment or materials. Yeah. Materials are not cheap.
No.
And if you mess up, you have to change it. You might have to draw the whole thing over.
Did you see a couple years ago? I can't remember who the artist was, but he was somebody was getting ready to ink something. It might have been like a Jim Lee Superman, and he had the pencils right in front of him, and he knocked the ink over, and it got and yeah, it's like that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fear in working practical from a lot of younger artists, and I remember when I was neighbors with James O'Barr at a convention once, and we got to talking about drawing, and I mentioned how my pencils, I don't really do final pencils. Like I do a really fast rough of pencils.
Yeah.
And I do the actual drawing in ink. And yeah, there's a hold your breath kind of thing to that, because if you make a mess up, I mean, people use whiteout and all that. I don't fuck with whiteout. I don't cover anything up. Part of drawing is learning how to work with your mistakes or an accident or something. But the imperfections is what makes it human, and it's what makes it, and James O'Barr said he does the same thing. He does most of it in ink, and he goes, it builds confidence. It really does, and it speeds things up, but it also builds confidence in that. I said, I'm not afraid to just start drawing in ink. It doesn't scare me. It did 20 years ago, but now it's like I do most of my work, again, because I've put in the work to know that I know I can do it. Like I know what I need to put down and what I don't need to put down. But I get it. Like if you do make mistakes, or if you're working for a client and they want changes, it's good to have the digital, because it's a lot easier and cheaper and faster to fix something. Something I've expressed to Brian and all that is, especially in comics, there are so many artists who are kind of out of the business, but they were big at one point. They have a fan base, and maybe they have medical bills. They have, maybe they didn't have insurance or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So many of these artists, these older artists, are able to support themselves by either doing commissions, which is great. You can always do commissions, but what if you can't draw? What if you have arthritis or Parkinson's or something, right? They have, if they were lucky, they still have their original pages. and they could sell original pages from Spider-Man or Superman or whatever.
You could
And
too.
make
You got a closet full of that stuff, don't you?
yeah, I've got a closet full of artwork, and so
Yeah.
I'm like, I've got that. But what about these digital artists? There's nothing there for them to
Oh, that's
sell.
true. Yeah, that's
There's
true.
nothing. It's not real. It doesn't exist. It's a print, and no art collector wants a print of something. They want the actual art, and that's what I fear. All these digital artists, like, what do they have when they lose their ability or they lose their job, or like they need to support themselves? They could be paying for their, like, your retirement could be sitting there in paper and drawing boards and illustrator boards. But that JPEG is not gonna it's not gonna do that.
No, just like those NFT Trump.
Yeah, the
crazy.
NFT shit,
Yeah, it's like the digital stuff. Like digital's cool and fine or whatever, but like, I mean, I don't. I'm not gonna get political here, but how dumb are those trading cards that Trump is doing? Have you seen those? They're
I heard about
$99
it.
for a digital trading card. It's like, motherfucker, why would anybody pay for that? It's like it's just like you're talking about a piece of art. Like I love baseball cards. I want that shit in my hand. Like you sent my daughter and my son two pieces of your art. They're prints. They weren't originals, which is great, fine. But like at least they have that they could put on their wall. You know what I'm saying? Like there's this digital bullshit. I appreciate digital stuff.
Yeah, I'm not
But
attacking
I'd rather.
digital because I've done digital art myself. It saves time, it's faster, how you can fix problems. But
Is that how you color mostly?
that's how I color, because I was never a painter.
Yeah.
I do paint. I use acrylic, I use color pencil, I do all that. But when I got a job at Horror Hound, and all of a sudden I had to do color again, I wanted to be a penciler for Marvel or DC. That was kind of my deal, and I didn't do color. But comic books are colored digitally. Have been colored digitally for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh my God.
I had Photoshop, but I never used it for coloring. I only used it for lettering and formatting to send off to my printer. And so I was like, well, God, I guess I got to learn how to do this. I got to use it to color. And so I did that for a long time. And then I was never happy with digital coloring. And I didn't take classes or anything. So there's people who are really good digital colorists in the comic books field, especially, who are amazing. There are digital artists who are amazing. So there's nothing against digital art, because the people who really have dedicated themselves, you still have to know your basics. You still have to know how to make art to be a digital artist, unless you're just throwing filters over photographs, which some do. But if you see a really talented digital artist, they have what they need to be able to pull it off traditionally, if they had to, because you could tell when someone's the real deal and when they're not. There's just tells. But yeah, there's no knock in digital, because digital takes to do any. It's just a tool. Now people are saying that about AI. It's just a tool. It can be, but most people using it, they're not using this tool. They're using it as a shortcut.
I'll send you guys some things. So I have these characters that I was trying to come up with some concept designs for, that I came up with some ideas through AI art, like when it first started. And they're pretty cool, but that's not going to be the final design of the character. And now that I'm seeing what they're doing with the fingers, because actually on one of the shirts, the guy has fingers on it. It's like, why are there fingers there? Well, also I'll send them to you guys. But I was doing that like months ago, and then I realized I was like, this isn't the way to go. Because I have a good concept design artist as it is. Oh, listen, Milano, holy crap!
50 years old.
Yeah, sorry, I got a thing from the Rage of Razor page, so I put up Ant-Man and the Wasp just now, and then I scrolled past the picture I put up of Alyssa Milano and her boobs. Holy cow! Whew. Anyway, so Night of the Comet.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. I like
All right.
that insight about art, because I never get to talk art with you as much, and I always do have questions. I just never think about to ask you like online or whatever. when we
Yeah,
chat.
it really makes me want to talk about the business. Like I don't know if I wrote you. I was like, we should do a podcast on comic book creation and making comics, and you could have some people who've done it on and on, because it was such a I started drawing my own comics, writing my own comics when I was 13, and I did it for 25 years, and I've done some since. I did the Behind the Mask Leslie Vernon comic book series a couple years ago, and right now I'm actually doing a short 8-page comic book for a guy, and I'm kind of having fun because like I never get to scratch that itch of comic books, and here
Yeah.
I'm getting to do that again, and it's just doing the thumbnails and sending it to him and adapting his story, and he's looking at going, oh my god, wow, this is I'm so excited, I can't stop looking at this, and it makes you, it's like, yeah. And then I'm like, well, we need to change this, and we need to do that, and we need, like, I'm helping him even as and he's a really good writer, and but I'm also like, well, if we do this, it'll help here, all these things that 30 plus years of experience gives you the just say, well, if we do this, it'll enhance that, or that's the fun part when you start talking to somebody. And again, we're just communicating here. How about this? What do you think of that? And that. And it's I don't know. I don't want to do comics again, but it's nice to kind
It's fun, but it's fun being a part of a
toe.
creative process like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of my favorite things about comics. Like, I was talking to my partner Jay last night about a couple of things, like trying to iron things out for next year, and we were just chatting and talking about things we want to do, names for characters, names for character teams, blah blah blah. And I was just like happy as my mom would say, happy as a pig in shit, just create. I love world building, and it's so much fun. Like, Nate, I bet you and I can make a badass comic, and Seth's a hell of a writer.
Seth is a phenomenal writer, everyone. Like, I told Seth a while back, it's like, dude, this guy said, dude, you were great. Every time he sent me a script or anything, he sent me a couple of his scripts. He sent me a zombie script he wrote, which was just should be a fucking movie. It was phenomenal. It's as good as it's in that realm of Zombieland and Dave Rake, and just as good, if not better than those. And he sent me something a while back saying, I don't think I'm going to finish this, because I'm like, dude, this is great. So I think Seth is a phenomenal writer, and I hope he sticks with it, doesn't second guess himself too much, because I could tell he's that way. He's probably someone who doubts himself.
He totally is.
And I was talking about that today. The guy was talking about how, like, a lot of things that hold artists back are worrying about what other people are going to think. I was like, I think I've worried more about not being good enough yet, or things weren't. And I've ran into so many people, especially writers, who don't think they've got it yet, and they just keep re-guessing and rewriting and rethinking and tossing.
That was me for about 10 years. Yeah.
And they never do anything.
Yep.
And the truth is, you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be good enough for you. So you just have to do it and put it out there and look forward and just put it in the back. If you talk to any like filmmaker, artist, whatever, they don't look at their old movies. They don't look back at anything. They just keep, because they look at it and go, oh, it's awful. Same way with all artists. So you got to just kind of go, because I guarantee you someone's going to like it. People are going to like it. You may hate it, but someone's got it hanging on their wall, or really admires it, or reads it all the time, or whatever. And that's really I think that's the hardest part for artists, is their self-worth and their belief in themselves. Because usually the arrogant artists and writers are the shittiest ones. Because they don't think
like
they need.
You said that, because that makes me feel better about myself now. Because I don't.
Well, they do. The people who think they know everything and are the best around and all this stuff, they because they think that way, they never push themselves to get better or learn.
The best around, like Karate Kid.
They don't think they're. they don't think they have anything to improve upon.
Yeah.
And so, and it's like they tend to be the worst. or just okay. They're nothing special.
I know one of my old partners was he's so arrogant about his skill, and it's like, dude, you're just okay. But yeah, like Seth pitched me a couple of comic ideas, and man, I wish I had. If money were not an issue, I'd hire him in a second and get him an artist. But that's the rub right now, because I'd like to have Seth writing with me other than just Horror Syndicate. You know, even though he does a bang up job on pretty much everything he does with the Horror Syndicate. I don't think I've read a bad article yet. You're just sitting there soaking it in, aren't you, Seth?
Well, I'm gonna kiss his ass, but he's the best writer of our group.
Well, you've never read any of my stuff.
I've read your comics. Well, now look at the arrogant right now. Yeah, I've read your comics. You sent me your comics.
Did I?
Yeah.
When?
You sent me. I think the first two.
Oh, I thought damn it, I thought I was gonna. Okay, so now I know. No, because like you did that piece for me, and I was gonna send you all 4 issues, but now I know I don't have to send you all 4 of them. So,
I think I bought them because I think when you were doing I wanted to support you and do Kickstarter.
Oh.
So yeah, and don't take that as like I'm knocking you. I'm just saying Seth's the best writer.
He's definitely the best article writer. I just fucking fly off the handle when I write stuff. So I can't even, like, sometimes I'll just like start writing an article and I'll be like, I'm fucking rambling in text, you know, like how can I ramble in text? Anyway, no, Seth's a great writer. I'm glad that, and it's funny because you know how did you ever know how I found Seth, Nate?
From his writing?
He found me. Well, I was trolling the gay bars, and no, it was
you were cruising
bar in Police Academy. No, no, I guess he followed me based on the Horror Syndicate, and then one day he puts up like this in-depth post ranking. I want to say it was the Frankenstein movie. Seth, correct me if I'm wrong. It was ranking something.
It was Invisible Man.
Invisible Man, and I'm like, I'm reading, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna ask this guy to just come write with us because this is great. You know, just put it on the website, please. And he did. So that's
you gotta snatch up the talent, man. I mean, it's what it is. Like if you see somebody who's really phenomenal, and again, I've known so many writers, especially who were really good, and were so. A lot of them did nothing with it, and it was like, dude, you should be making all kinds of money. And I've even, like, I don't consider myself that great a writer. And I had a guy who I really respect who, you know, has recently started reading stuff I write on my page about film and all that. And he said, you should get this stuff published. Because I know people will publish this. He goes, you know, and I've had people tell me that. I'm like, I'm not a film critic. I don't look at myself as a critic. I don't really, you know, I think I like talking about them. He's like, no, you got a book. You got books written on your Facebook.
You do. And I asked what what do you think of The Last Jedi? I see Nathan Thomas commented. I'm like, oh, read more, and I'm like, I'm like, shit, dude. Like, that's a whole article. Yeah, you should. Well, I think you should, because like that Halloween Ends article you wrote, that was just a post on your Facebook, and then you refined it a couple times, was choice, man. I'd love to have you writing more frequently for the Horror Syndicate. That's why we asked you to come back on the show, because you make such good fucking points, and you have a different, definitely for me, different approach to film viewing. Really, you know, you watch it from the eye of a creator in a way where I don't. I sit there and, you know, I'm just like get my popcorn. I love Silver Bullet, you know, like, and Seth, Seth watches his movies we all watch film in a different way, which is why I think it's fun to have this show and any show that we've ever done. But like, that's one of the things I've always admired about you. You've got the view of the creator, the director, the person who's been behind the camera, and you make a lot of good points, even if I don't always agree with them. You know, you do make a lot of.
It would be strange if you agreed with everything I say, and vice versa. Like it would.
I'm not wired that way. I can't do that.
Yeah, so it's like, and I'm actually one of those people who can still watch a film and enjoy it as a moviegoer. Like there's a lot of people who make films who can't do that. Like they just see from a creator's
Oh
perspective.
yeah, yeah.
Usually for the first time I watch a movie, I'm watching it as a viewer, as a fan.
Oh, I know. Like, well, for example, Halloween Ends. You watched it as a fan first, or not Halloween.
Yeah.
This is the Last Jedi. You watched it going in, and you're like, like you walked out of the theater, which I didn't know the same way I did. Kind of deflated, like what the fuck,
Yeah.
And then you went and watched Ryan Johnson, who, by the way, he's a smoke blower. I hate that dude. Anyway, you take into account their perspective of what the film is, and that's kind of unique. Nobody that I know really does that shit,
Well, when like The Last Jedi came out, I remember like one of my favorite reviews was Kevin Smith. And I kind of relate to what because Kevin's a filmmaker and he's a writer and he's a storyteller, and what he said was he's watching it, he's like,
he thinks he's a filmmaker.
Well, he said about Last Jedi, he's like, I'm watching it, I'm going, I wouldn't have done that, or I wouldn't have thought to do it that way, or I probably would have done it this way, but that's interesting. And that's how I kind of went to things like that. People think, well, you're just being, someone said, I think you just like movies that are hated. I'm like, no, there's some movies that people love that I think are crap. I just don't talk about it. Because what's the point?
The void.
Yeah. So, well, unless it's on our show and I'm asked, you guys wanted to talk about it. I didn't think The Void was bad at all. I just didn't think it was phenomenal. I thought it was very good for what it was. But when I watch the film, that's the thing. I think a lot of people go off feeling and their preference rather than is it really good or bad? Did the filmmakers really do that shitty of a job, or is it just that it's not your thing? And that's how I try to look at it. It's like, no, it's not a bad movie. It's like when someone says, "Oh man, Hereditary, it looks like some 14-year-old kid do it for his class project." I'm like, you're fucking insane.
That is insane.
And there's people who say that and will die on that hill thinking that. I'm like, that's just ridiculous.
What would make somebody think that? That is a beautifully directed movie, first of all.
Because they have no clue what it is. It's like someone was tonight someone was talking about critics online and YouTube's where they're like, they didn't even watch the whole movie and they're critiquing it. And they're like, I would have made it better if I had been in charge. Like, you can't even finish a fucking movie. Do you think you have the work ethic to fucking direct a movie, you fuck? No, you wouldn't last one day on a fucking movie directing. Like, it's just, you can't even, like, find out who was the cinematographer when you're talking about how beautiful the cinematography is in your fucking review. All right?
I mean, I don't know who the cinematographer is, but I know when I see good cinematography.
I just put that out there to
I know
viewers.
I just wanted to make sure
because I had a friend of mine who shot a film recently, and the review came out. And he posted yesterday with the review, and he goes, "Yeah, they just went on and on about how beautiful the cinematography is, but they forgot to give me credit." And I'm like, dude, I get so tired of that. Like, if all your review is about how beautiful the cinematography is, how about mention the fucking cinematographer by name? Like, if it ain't the actor, they don't fucking bother to know who the person is. Or if it's not the guy who sent them the fucking screener, they don't bother to know who it is. They don't want to learn. It's like, that's your job. You're a fucking film reviewer. You're a self-appointed film reviewer, but you're a fucking film reviewer. How about do your job? And if you're talking about someone's work, how about name them? How about give them acknowledgement? Because it matters, especially in the independent world, because like most of them are working for nothing or very little.
Yeah.
So getting their name in print can make their day. Makes their day that you're complimenting them. But
I've made friends that way. Like Tory Van Buskirk, I think is his name.
Yeah.
I did a review of 1031 Part 2, and I really liked his segment. And each one of them, I made sure this person directed this movie, and he friend requested me shortly after I got or after the review came out, and now I like him. He's a good dude, The
anthologies are the worst because there's so many directors, and usually, like, I've ran into so many where like the wrong guy got the credit for like, well, this one was really done. I've spoken up sometimes where somebody's like, no, that guy didn't direct that segment. This guy directed
Well,
that
yeah.
segment.
Luckily for me, I know the guy who put it all together. Rocky. So I was able to ask,
Yeah.
hey, it's not the clear. The credits aren't very clear here. Who did this segment? I think I had to ask him that on the second one. On the third one, he changed the credits so I could tell who was who. I'm not saying that's because of me, but
And anthologies are hard to review because
well,
there are so many, because the really good anthologies, there's usually ones that's one director.
Yeah, which is rare.
Yeah,
I think that Allegoria movie that I told you guys about is one director.
Yeah, you look at Creepshow, George directed all of it. Or you look at I think Tales from the Crypt 72 was directed by the same guy the whole time. But when you get all these various styles and various experiences and various talents, where 40% of the movie is unwatchable, and then there's a couple of really great ones, and people just write it off, even if there was really one or two or three really good segments. They don't bring that movie up because half of it was a fucking chore to watch. And we get that a lot. I'm not pointing names, talking about films, but I'm just saying I think that's why a lot of anthology, they don't get brought up much unless, again, it's like Michael Dougherty with Trick or Treat or something, where it's a common, it's all through one vision, and it's all consistently the same quality, because it's coming from the person who's running.
That's the problem.
The vision.
The volumes of blood and the 1031s. I'm not trying to rag on anybody, but there are some really good filmmakers in both series. But
phenomenal stuff in some and all those things.
There's also some really, really poor choices in volumes of blood and horror stories. You got the bathtub thing. That that was terrible.
John, I thought John did a good job on that.
I didn't care for that one. There was another one that took place in the living room. I can't, because it's all about the same house. But there's another one that was like a Christmas one. It was just dog shit. No,
I don't know who that was.
Yeah, no, there's.
But then when you talk about volumes of blood horror stories, one of the most impressive ones in that one was Levin's segment, the Trick or Treat one. It's really short though; it's like 5 minutes long, and there's not a lot there. But he directed the fuck out of that thing and edited the hell out of it.
I don't remember that one.
He's a really talented filmmaker from Louisville, and his kind of got bypassed. I think just because it's so short, but he does one of the completely A+ directing and editing work on that movie, on that short, in that 5 minutes. He did a whole lot with it. So that's the thing. It's you just get lost in it, where there's a lot of films, even like the VHS stuff. The VHS movies, some of them are just fucking incredible. And then some of them are I don't even remember that segment. You're talking about all these underground, but Holidays, and there's been so many.
Holidays. Is that a good one?
Some of it not.
That one.
The Tales of Halloween. Some of those are really good. Some of them are really bad.
The one that has a demon for Christmas, or a demon Easter bunny or some shit? Or is that something else?
Yeah, the one, I think the Easter bunny. Was it Easter bunny? One of them, the Valentine's one, I think, was done by the guy that did Pet Sematary Remake and Starry Eyes.
I gotta look, because I've seen so many fucking horror movies. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But that's the problem with it. It's if again half of it's not really worth watching, you kind of don't go back to it.
Yeah.
And you forget these really strong shorts that are in there.
And I'm not trying to be mean or anything about Volumes of Blood at all. It's just that it's kind of a chore watching the second movie. The first one I like for the most part, the whole thing. But for some reason I can't bring myself to go back to the second one as much. Where the first one I like. The only one I really like is Ghastly. That's of the seconds, but yours is the strongest in the first one, of course. What year did that movie come out? Holidays.
Jacob Belinsky's was really strong in the first one.
Which one was that one?
Jacob's a great filmmaker. He did the and David shot that one. The guy that shot mine, David Bennell. It's the one where the girl is studying, and her boyfriend, the monster attacks her. It's very lit like an Italian giallo film. Um, just Jacob's a really talented filmmaker, and he's gone on to do a lot of big things. He's actually won tons of awards. I think they just got an Oscar. I think he got an Oscar recently for something, or
Oh man, I am tripping.
or Golden Globe or something. What's he saying?
Quote from that's Alex was in the first volumes of Blood.
Yeah, he's in the opening segment, which was fun. You know, yeah, the classroom. You know, I wasn't trying to, but that's the thing. Like, I feel like anthology. The best anthologies are the one where there's really one vision behind it, because it's going to be consistent. And when you have inconsistencies,
we should do a show on anthologies at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I generally, it's hard to rank them because of the variety. I could sit there and say, well, it's easier to say segments. I think I've done that where I've like ranked the best anthology segments, because doing the films, so many of them are just so varied in quality that it's hard to say, well,
holidays,
this one's better than that one because there's like, when half the movie is not really memorable or good, it's kind of like, well, how do I even rank this one? But if you're talking about the segments, I can rank those because they stand on their own.
I think I did that in my VHS review when I did that a couple years ago. The first one, anyway. I don't remember. It's been so long. The Horror Syndicates have been around too long now. We got to shut it down. No. Anyway, no, don't worry about it, man. Alex wants to. I was thinking about doing a podcast kind of like this. Kinda. It'd be different. Talking about the geek stuff, movies and shit like that. Like, we tried doing it a couple years ago, but it didn't work out very well. But thinking about doing something like that, and I think Alex wants to be a part of it, because I'd like to talk about other things. And like, I have so many opinions about the DC stuff going on right now that I want to share out loud, but I haven't really too much, except for I think James Gunn needs to shut his mouth and just make the movies. But anyway, are we on next week? Are we doing a show next week?
We do Suspiria next week.
Are we doing Suspiria? Finally, after like 2 years of trying to do it. Seth, have you ever seen Suspiria?
Oh yeah, that was first Italian movie I've seen.
First Italian you ever seen? Did you ever see the new one?
The remake.
I have not seen the new one.
I don't know if it's streaming anywhere.
I love the remake.
Is it streaming?
That's what I'm looking right now. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Prime, so you can watch it. So yeah, because we're going to talk about Suspiria next week, which is great because I love that fucking movie. Well, the original anyway. The second, the original, yay, Susie Bannion. The remake or whatever you want to call it, I've only seen one time and I barely remember it because it's quite long, if I remember correctly. Isn't it kind of long, Nate?
Yeah, it's long.
Yeah. So hopefully we're not going to be too surprised whenever we watch the movie. I had the flasher up there. So we'll
He's got his new movie out right now, Bones and All, same director.
Yeah, I've heard things. I saw the trailer for that the other day.
That and I just watched Call Me by Your Name, which was a movie he did before Suspiria. Pretty good.
Yeah, I saw that he was I saw that name for Bones and All. I'm like, I know that name somewhere, and I looked. I was like, oh, okay, I know who that is.
Luca.
One of my artists' name is Luca. Anyway, he's Italian. So that's what next week will be. And and then going into the new year, we'll do. How many are we gonna do? 20? 20 movies from 2022? Is that what you want to do?
Sure.
15, 20? The top 20
Top
horror
22 from
the top 20.
2022.
Let's do it. Top 22 from 2022. We'll be doing that for our first show in the new year. Seth and I will get back on Friday the 13th movies after the new year as well, because we're going to talk about fucking New Year's Evil, because that movie is underrated and stupid. I like it. But it's the holiday season, so we'll if anything falls through, it'll be the holiday season. I'm worried my family's going to get sick in the next few days, because we got some, like Helena got really sick for Thanksgiving, and it just would make sense.
I was talking to a doctor the other day, and they said there's like 17 viruses going around right now.
Ridiculous, man. I don't have much contact with, like, where I work. I am around 3 or 4 people, but not very often and not for very long. I'm mostly by myself. And we got a new person today or Monday, and she's already out with COVID. It's like, cool. I'm glad I didn't talk to her though, while she was there. But I don't know. I don't want any of us to get sick. Helena already started. Sounds like she's getting congested. It's like, great. Christmas is right around the corner. And anyway, so let's final thoughts on Night of the Comet. Comet. Why do I say Comet? Night of the Comet. Night of the Comet.
First of all, I didn't say shit about Volume's Blood.
Say what?
I didn't say shit about Volume's Blood. I have a lot of friends that worked on those movies.
No, that was me. It doesn't. Yeah, I don't hate it. It's just I know horror stories is too long.
It's too long. It really drags out, and a lot of it was like stuff that wasn't in the original plan, and it just got tacked on. And
I know how
to beef up the death kills is what really.
I know like,
oh my god, that movie should have ended 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, and that's weighed down by some bad segments.
And of course, I'm guilty because my segment's 24. One of my segments is 24 minutes long, but I don't think it drags, except for people say that the gift wrapping part it's like 1 minute, and this drags the whole movie down. But yeah, the second one is far too long.
And there's PJ's Christmas horror movies out called 13 Slays. I
haven't watched that one yet.
It's another anthology. A lot of familiar faces. A
lot of people I know worked on it. Jason Crow and Kevin Roach.
But there's a lot of like he uses a lot of filmmakers' names as background names and shit in there, and I don't know. It's okay. There's some good segments in there, but it's 13 of them also. So it's like,
yeah. When I heard that, I'm like, man, are they going to be really, really short?
It's overstuffed, and then I know he's got another one coming for New Fear's Eve or something like that. But I mean, I appreciate what he's doing, but I'm not going to lie and sugarcoat because I'm friends with PJ or whatever, or Alex. Alex, you suck at acting. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, but like, I'm that's part of what the Horror Syndicate is I'm reviewing stuff. I'm going to be honest about it. I'm not going to.
You just insulted one of our 3 watchers. We only have 3.
We have 4.
It's Luke and Alex.
That's why I can't have.
They
Alex
keep
on
us going.
I can't have Alex on my geek show because
we're sitting here criticizing, and we get 3 viewers.
Yeah, that'll be all right. It'll be all right. Anyway.
No one's gonna know. We could talk shit about everybody.
I don't know.
I haven't watched it yet. So I don't know.
Or Tubi or something like that. If you want to watch it. Anyway, so let's finish up some Night of the Comet stuff. Nate, final thoughts on Night of the Comet. I know we got way off topic again.
Well, I think we've said everything we needed to.
We probably should have talked about Maximum Overdrive also.
Night of the Comet is just a fun 80s B movie. Well, he's saying love your Nate. What?
It says, "Love you, Nate. Gotta go be a gremlin to another person. Be right back."
All right, that's our third viewer. Um, so yeah, it's a just 1984 was the best year for films in the 1980s. I mean, it is stacked
Overall, or just horror?
overall. Like there's not another year, and I'm not talking about horror. I'm talking about this film. 1984, you've got Ghostbusters, The Terminator, Nightmare on Elm Street,
Temple of
Karate
Doom.
Kid, Temple of Doom, Romance in the Stone, Friday the 13th 4, uh, Repo Man, Iceman, Ice Pirates. I think
Jesus.
Red Dawn.
Was Red Dawn 84?
Yeah, Red
Oh.
Dawn. Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, I love Beverly Hills Cop.
It's just it's Gremlins. It's insane. That year is insane. And Night of the Comet is probably on a lot of people's low part of that, but it was one that I watched a lot, and I think it's also a film that has two very strong female leads who are not like every other
1984.
character of that. These Regina is a very unique character
Regina
uh,
King.
in that whole. Oh, I forgot. I'm talking about Nightmare. Heather Langenkamp auditioned for
Yeah,
Kelly
that's right.
Maroney's part.
Hmm.
Thank God she got Nancy.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, because they probably filmed around the same time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
God, could you imagine somebody else as Nancy? Oh, I couldn't.
no. Anyway, great characters. It moves pretty fast. I mean, not fast, but it's a like we talked about that fantasy of what if you woke up. I never thought about it, but it's Home Alone. It's a Home Alone zombie movie. It's what it is. You wake up and everyone's gone, and the stores are open, and you can do whatever you want, and they do for a while until the human threat shows up, or the zombies show up, or um, oh, that's something else. And David Miller did the makeup, and some of those zombies are the cops. I think
Yeah,
are unused Freddy Krueger
makeups. Yeah,
makeups, and you can tell
he must have been
they're
doing both of the movies at the same time if they came out.
probably.
You
Oh,
know.
he said this was the first one. I think he did this right before because he said this was the first movie where he was kind of the head makeup guy because he had worked on Thriller
Oh
with Rick
yeah,
Baker uh, almost right before this, or several. I think Thriller video was like 83. I think
yeah.
80. Yeah,
83.
so he had worked on that. So this was the first time he was like the head of the makeup department, I guess. So I think he was head probably of Nightmare. So I guess this probably was made before Elm Street. Um, but yeah, he could have been working on them at the same time, I guess. Um, anyway, I don't know what to say. I have always liked this movie. I think it's a fun little B movie from the '80s. That's better than I think people would expect. I think Catherine and Kelly are phenomenal. I think Robert's great. You've got these cult character actors, Mary and Michael and Jeffrey. Um, it's Valley Girls fighting zombies in the apocalypse in L.A. and it's Christmas
What
time.
could be more fun? You know.
Yeah, and you got cheerleaders and Valley Girls with Mac 10s running around and it's fun. Oh, Last Starfighter, another 1984 movie.
Yeah. There's something I'm gonna put. I'm gonna pose the question. It's gonna be horror related though for the Horror Syndicate, asking what is the best year in the decade of the 1980s because that's something I'm trying to figure out now. I'm getting ready to wrap up my
Horror wise, it's usually 81.
81 or 88, I'd say, or 85. But I'm wrapping up my top 10 lists of the 1980s and 89. Probably come out in the next couple days. But that's that's what I'm jumping. I want to rank the years because I've been able to rank, and you could tell. Like I think '89 is one of the worst years of of the decade, honestly. But anyway,
Yeah, the only thing that jumps out at me in '89, like immediately, is Pet Cemetery.
Pet Cemetery, Society, which is a really fucking gross movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and plus you get just a couple of bad sequels: Elm Street, Halloween 5, and then Jason Takes Manhattan, Seth's favorite.
it's the year the slashers died in my
It
book.
is, yeah. I mentioned that in my article.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, Seth, final thoughts on some Night of the Comet. Comet. I'm never going to talk about this movie again.
Well, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun, and I'm actually surprised I have not seen this movie sooner. I probably should have. It totally seems like a movie I would have watched like over and over when I was younger. But I'm glad sorry. I'm glad I watched it. It was fun. It was nice to look at. Yeah, I enjoyed
Just
it.
like me.
Back to you.
I'm talking about movies that I had never seen before. Have y'all seen the movie called World Gone Wild?
I don't think so.
I had never seen that until this week because I was looking up other things that Catherine Mary Stewart had done. This was like 1987. Mad Max meets Seven Samurai. Basically, it's like the lead star is Bruce Dern, and they're part of this little community in the apocalypse. That's kind of a peaceful community. They have access to water, and of all people, this cult shows up, the threat, and it's Adam Ant as the villain.
Really?
Yeah, it's Adam Ant, and they
I
show
know
up.
he's been acting before, but
Yeah, and they like massacre everybody except for like a few. And Bruce Stern's like the wizard, magic, the
wizard
sage of the community, and they don't kill him for some reason. He's like a hippie, really. And so he goes into town to the city where it's like just like madness. It's like Escape from New York or something. And like it basically was like Escape from New York, and it's just people being depraved and crazy. And he runs into Michael Pare, who's the hero of the movie.
Oh my god!
And Michael Pare, he kind of gets Michael Pare to join him, and then I can't remember the actor's name. I think he was on like In the Heat of the Night or
What's the name of this movie?
It's called World Gone Wild.
Okay,
and
1988, yeah.
And so they start recruiting all these people to like Seven Samurai to come back and help them defend against Adam Ant, his cult. And was
it the Adam Ant cult?
It was fun. I think it was on Prime, maybe. It was fun, but it was like really, it's like someone who like it made very little sense because like, well, what? Like, why didn't Adam Ant just take the fucking place when he came there and killed everybody? Like, he's coming back.
Oh my god, that movie made no money in the theater.
I bet.
In the nuclear ravaged wasteland of Earth in the year 2087, rain has not fallen in 50 years, and water is as precious as life itself. Okay. I'm gonna see if that's streaming somewhere. That sounds fun.
It's fun, but I never seen the movie ever. Never even knew it existed. And I'm like, well, it's got Michael Pare and Catherine Mary Stewart and Bruce Dern and a few other familiar faces. Adam Ant. But it was fun. I watched it early one morning, and I couldn't sleep. And
Bruce Dern.
It was just really. It just made very little sense because the people that they invite to come join them, like the samurai characters, like they're not samurai, but it's the Seven Samurai thing where you recruit all these misfits to defend this peaceful village. And but they're fooling these people like, why are they teaming up with this guy? They were just fighting that guy, or this guy just tried to con them. We're still like. It's like they found the worst people possible to try to trust. And it was like that doesn't make any sense at all. Why you're teaming up with this guy? It's basically like if you've been teamed up with your enemy, and of course things don't work out. But it was, I don't know. I just brought it up because it's something I hadn't seen before. And you think you've seen like almost every '80s movie, but there's so much.
There's so many.
There's so much you haven't, and there's so many of these because it's basically Mad Max. It's Road Warrior meets the Seven Samurai, and then just some other quirky little movies tossed in. And you're like, how did they get Bruce Dern to do this? But then you think like there were so many of those movies like that back then, where character actors just are headlining just god awful movies, and all those rip-offs of better movies. Road Warrior hits it, and all of a sudden there's so many Mad Max wannabe movies out there at that period.
That's the way of the business, though. Like
especially in Italy.
Yeah. Oh my god. Don't even get me started on
all those Escape from New York movies and all those movies that were just that, or all the Barbarian movies. They rip it off. Beastmaster and Conan the Barbarian and Dragon Slayer. So, but it's one of those fun. I enjoyed it. I didn't. It wasn't. It was bad, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, if there's nothing on when it's really early in the morning, you'll just watch about anything anyway. It's happened to me. That's how I saw the movie Class. I don't know if you've ever seen that one from '83. Yeah. I like that movie though. Anyway, Night of the Comet is a lot of fun. I love it. I've loved it since I was a kid. I'm never going to talk about it again because I can't say Comet without saying comment. So we'll be back. Seth and I will be back on Friday to talk to do the rankings of the Silent Night, Deadly Night. That's our Christmas treat for you guys. And then Seth should be back with the Syndicate, the Supernatural Syndicate on Tuesday, I think. And then Wednesday we'll be back and we will talk about the struggles of Susie Bannion in Suspiria and the remake with Dakota Johnson. Is that who?
Yeah, I love her. Her and Mia Goth are in it.
Mia Goth in it too?
Mia's in that, and Tilda Swinton and Chloe Grace Moretz.
She plays a small role in it, yeah. And I'm really looking forward to going into the next year because we are going to kind of dip into the movies that we skipped over from this year that were released, like Barbarian, which when you put that up, I'm like, why didn't I think about that? Yeah, I absolutely want to talk about that movie in depth. Barbarian and Nope and some of the other ones that came out in 2022. We're going to kind of dig into those in 2023 a little bit and look forward to some of the movies coming out like Scream and whatever else is coming out next year. I don't even know. Doesn't seem like there's much brought up for.
Well, there's The Exorcist coming out.
Right? I thought that got pushed back.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
And there's something else. There's another big one coming out, right?
What's that?
Sequel.
Seth said something.
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead Rise. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so there are things that we'll get to talk about. I miss Crowley. Yeah. We'll tune in on Tuesdays. Anyway, yeah, you all have a great night. We'll see you on Friday. If not, we'll see you next Wednesday, or Seth will see you next Tuesday for the Supernatural show. I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat some food. So you have a happy holiday if we don't see you on Friday.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. What is it in Christmas Vacation? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Kiss my ass. Kiss his ass. Kiss your ass. Yeah. Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah. Anyway. What? Hold on. What? There's talks for Christine? A remake of Christine?
Yeah, seems like I heard something about that.
I'm so over remakes. All right. Anyway, have a great night. We'll see you when we see you on the next show. Peace, love, and bye.